probably only be able to work on one. So this is a Ficus nerifolia. This is a tree that I was growing a bunch of these for a workshop in these flats because they get nice root bases, and they froze. And this was, at one time, was a single trunk tree, probably about that big around at the base, and it froze all the way down. And one of the guys that works for me hit it on me. I kept telling him, throw this stuff away. Yeah, I said, it's garbage, throw it away. He didn't throw it away, and lo and behold, they came back. And some of them came back really cool with individual trunks, and some of them came back like this with multiple trunks. Did I already talk about how this thing froze and all that stuff? Pretty much all I'm going to do with this is I'm going to wire all these trunks and bend them around and move them so that it kind of looks something like a tree. And then cut some stuff off. One time there was at one of the BonsaiArtisans, I have a client in Beverly Hills that came to the show early in the morning, and he saw some trees that he wanted to buy that were going to be in the auction, but he wasn't going to be around for the auction. So he told me, I want that, that, and that. And I said, okay, how much can I spend? He said, whatever you think they're worth.
Oh my God, that was a bad decision.
Yeah, the auction made a lot of money that year. Because it wasn't my money, and he's got plenty of it, so I just, I think I started out the first tree at $500 or something. I got people mad because, priced it out of their range, but, the idea was to raise money for Golden State, so I didn't really care too much about that. But because of that, people got afraid to bid against me. And, auctions at club meet, and, club events and stuff like that. I would start bidding on something, and people would just stop bidding because they figured that I was just going to keep going until I got it.
That's okay, good for you.
So, yeah, it worked out fine for me. This one I don't have to worry too much about it breaking. Yeah, this is a Ficus nerifolia. Some people call it sacrifolia. I think right now the consensus that the scientific name is nerifolia, but who knows, it changes, it goes back and forth. It's a tree that nobody really knows what its origins are, what it's native to. There was a nursery guy down in Florida that found it growing in his nursery at one time. And it was different than any of the other ficuses he saw, so he propagated it. But as far as I know, nobody really knows where it comes from in the wild, or if it even does come from someplace in the wild. It was just a sport or something. But there aren't a whole lot of them available here in California. There's only a few places that sell them, and they're mostly bonsai nurseries. And it doesn't get used as much here as it does in places like, say, Florida. And it's kind of a shame because it's a really good tree for bonsai. It's a great tree for beginners because it's really forgiving. It's one of those trees where you can cut everything off of it and just leave a stump or a trunk and new branches will grow. The leaves will get nice and small after some time in a pot and some defoliating. Yeah, it's just a really good tree for bonsai, and a little bit different than the typical junipers and elms and that kind of stuff that everybody has here. There's another variety called 89, and I think because in the winter of 1989 there was a big freeze in Florida, and a couple of these trees froze and came back with much smaller leaves than normal, and those leaves stayed that size. So that's actually a little bit more desirable variety for bonsai. And it's mostly just available in Florida. I think Denny Roach was one of the first ones to bring back any of these from Florida. And most of the ones that are in Southern California either came from Denny or came from cuttings from trees that from that original batch that Denny brought back. These are from cuttings from one of Denny's trees. I think he did a demo somewhere and took a bunch of cuttings and they grew, and now I have thousands of them.
Wow.
This is another one that's really, really easy to propagate. You can take little branches, stick them in soil, they'll grow. You can take a handful of branches, stick it in a jar of water, and they'll grow roots, and you can plant them. You can grow these indoors, which for some people is a good thing, because there are some people that just don't get the opportunity to grow stuff outside. So it's nice for them to have something to grow indoors. We make good forest plantings, and good individual tree plantings. Just a good piece of material.
How many trunks are on that?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another little one coming from here. There's 5 main trunks. So every time I give Jorge, the guy that works for me, crap about not listening to me. He says, yeah, well, if I listened to you about the Ficus, you wouldn't have made all that money off it. So, one of these days I'll sell them all, but I won't be able to throw them up my face anymore. And it's funny, I told them a dozen times, get rid of those stupid things, throw them away. They're just taking up room, I'm tired of watering them. And finally we hit them. And then they didn't come back. There's some, I'm going to do a workshop in, at the convention with some of these, and the trees are about that tall, and the trunks are about that big around.
Nice.
And they got branching all over them. And they were trees that I told him to throw away. So, it should be a fun workshop. Anybody that likes shohins are going to be really nice shohin-sized trees. Awesome. Now, this tree is growing in this flat because originally I was growing this to use as a workshop. Now, when you grow them in flats like this, you get a really nice root base to them really quick. The roots tend to spread out flat, and they form a really nice nabari to them, as long as you kind of keep up on cutting off the crossing roots and stuff like that. So that's why it's in this flat. And,
Are you growing it on a table?
what's that?
Are you growing it on a table so it doesn't,
No, it's just in this flat.
it doesn't rip into the ground?
Nah. Well, they're sitting on benches on, yeah, actually, yes, I am growing on a table. I misunderstood your question. Yeah, they're on benches right now. Alright, I'm going to go through here real quick and kind of do somewhat of a radical through. These trees have been sitting around the nursery for a long time now, and they've just been kind of sitting there, taking up space. I really didn't know what I wanted to do with these. You know, they're not your typical bonsai because of the multiple trunks coming off of this slab. And I saw a picture of the ficus that was designed by this guy named Robert Stevens in Indonesia, and it just blew me away. It was a little bonsai, you know, that he designed it with multiple trunks that looked like, you know, that fig outside. And it's beautiful movement in the trunks and the branches, and that kind of inspired me. And know what to do with these things. New Batman movie comes out. You guys should go watch it. And there's going to be a scene in the publisher, whatever his name is. It's Samuel Jackson's the actor who plays the publisher, in his office. Or in the boardroom, I guess it is. And there's a wall about this length, and it's lined with 6 pedestals with 6 beautiful bonsais on it.
All right.
Hey!
All right.
You know, an exposure of bonsai to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I made a bunch of money.
All right.
They had the trees for 4 days. They had 6 trees for 4 days, and they paid me $7,000.
Yeah, that's very good.
So I said, you guys gonna need to do this again? Kind of hoping that they, you know, when they start editing, they have to reshoot that scene. Kind of what I'm doing is I'm just going through and thinning it out, and so you can see into this, and then I'll kind of bend the trunks a little bit more.
Thank you.
But what I want to do with this is just kind of have something that looks like a, you know, a big old multi-trunk ficus tree, kind of like the one out there. Growing, except that this won't get aerial roots here. If you wanted to look like it has roots, you can take pieces of wire and wire them down so it looks like aerial roots if you wanted to, I guess.
So to get aerial roots, would you just put it in the greenhouse for a little bit?
Yeah, but, you know, even, I think you can probably get them to develop, but you have to leave it there. So I'm just kind of thinning this out and reducing the branches and getting, on the ends of these, there's lots of thick clumps of growth all in one place, so I'm trying to get rid of those. I'll probably do a little bit more wiring on some of the secondary branches. And then, that'll be it on this. All this cutting I'm doing, I'm kind of cutting things back and thinning it out and cutting it back to usually 2 branches. One branch that can continue the line of the branch and another one that can become a side branch. And I'm trying to do as much of this as possible by just pruning rather than wiring.
Thanks again, Bob. We sure appreciate it.